On December 26, China's domestic social media suddenly exposed a large number of photos and videos of a large diamond-shaped delta-wing aircraft flying, which is allegedly a sixth-generation aircraft developed by AVIC Changfei Company, flying in the area around Chengdu. Coincidentally, social media also exposed photos of another new sixth-generation aircraft flying in the area around Shenyang on the 20th. Obviously, the sixth-generation aircraft, which should have been kept secret, is strutting over towns and cities, which is a semi-public way to send a signal to the outside world. China is about to enter the era of sixth-generation aircraft. If you look at the timeline, the first to be exposed was the Shenfei version of the sixth-generation aircraft, but I don't know whether it was because the relevant photos and videos were too blurry or too few in number, or the aerodynamic layout wasn't subversive enough. So the appearance of the Shenfei version of the sixth-generation aircraft didn't cause a big stir in the past few days. Until the 26th, the Changfei version of the sixth-generation aircraft test flight photos and videos in the social media frenzy. People realized that this series of events is obviously not the work of ordinary wall-climbing party, but a special way of official announcement. In contrast, the aerodynamic layout of the Changfei version of the sixth-generation aircraft is more subversive, and the related photos and videos are much clearer, thus leaving a lot of talking points for military fans. Specifically, the Changfei version of the sixth-generation aircraft adopts the typical wing-body fusion, rhombic large delta wing design. The nose of the aircraft has a longer airspeed tube, which can be seen that the class is still a technology validation aircraft or prototype. A little later on, both sides of the nose set up the surface of the sensor fairing with a metallic sheen, which is estimated to be a side-view RF sensor or other optoelectronic sensors, which means that the Changfei version of the sixth-generation aircraft has a greater range of situational awareness than the traditional warplane. This means that Changfei's version of the sixth-generation aircraft will have a greater situational awareness range than conventional fighter aircraft. On the side of the fuselage behind the sensor fairing, a series of numbers are visible. The first number 36 is clearly visible, but the three numbers at the back are erased or covered, presumably representing the prototype's serial number, which shows that the officials do not want to let the outside world know until the aircraft is the first of the prototypes. Further back under the fuselage on both sides of a pair of jawlight intakes, the Chinese translation of swept-back double-oblique supersonic intakes or double-oblique cutwave intakes is the US F-22 fighter aircraft and the Turkish KF-22 fighter aircraft and the Turkish KF-22 fighter aircraft and the Turkish KF-22 fighter aircraft, 22 fighter jet and the Turkish KF-21 fighter jet intake design program. This type of inlet has a parallelogram cross-section, which provides better radar wave suppression than a right-angle cross-section inlet. In this regard, some may ask why the DSI intakes like the J-20, J-35 and F-35 are not used, which may have a lot to do with the powertrain design of this fighter. Analyzing the photos from some other angles, the aircraft is equipped with 3 engines, and the engine intakes on both sides can only be seen from the bottom of the fuselage. However, there is also a semi-buried air intake channel in the center of the fuselage, which is designed to provide inhalation airflow for the engine in the center. In comparison, the Changfei version of the sixth-generation aircraft is absolutely unprecedented. It should be known that, during the 80 years of the emergence of jet aircraft, fighters, fighter-bombers, interceptors and other types of aircraft rarely installed 3 engines. Why 3 engines? There are 2 answers. One is that the aircraft is designed to be positioned as a fighter-bomber, but the 2 existing state-of-the-art domestic engine turbofan 15 is not enough to meet the aircraft's speed, load and other maneuverability requirements, and therefore had to be on the 3rd engine. Another reason may be that the aircraft was designed to fly in multiple speed zones, i.e., from the slowest subsonic speeds to supersonic speeds of 2 to 3 times the speed of sound. Due to its large size and presumably operational positioning as a fighter not engaged in close air combat, the aircraft was designed as a fighter-bomber capable of moving quickly in and out of the engagement zone, even if it is detected or located by the enemy. or even directly targeted by missiles. The aircraft can accelerate away from the danger zone by maximizing the horsepower of its 3-turbofan 15 engines. The aircraft's front 3-point landing gear is also very special, and the back-to-landing gear even adopted the front and rear double-wheel structure, which means that the weight of the aircraft is really not low. The probability of the future is no hope on the aircraft carrier. Between the 3 landing gears, there is a large-size bomb bay, which is distributed in the same way as the J-20, i.e., the main bomb bay in the center of the fuselage and the side bomb bays on both sides. But the size is obviously much bigger than that of the former. Obviously, the aircraft has neither horizontal nor vertical tail. So, what does it rely on to control the flight direction? The main thing is to rely on the trailing edge of the wing and the tail closely arranged more than 10 air rudders, of which 2 pairs of air rudders near the wingtip of the rotation angle is larger. It is estimated that they play the role of the traditional tail. As for the detailed analysis of Shenfei's version of the 6th-generation aircraft, it is not possible to analyze it in place at this time due to the blurriness of the relevant photos and videos. However, it obviously also adopts the aerodynamic layout of large swept wing plus no tail, powered by 2 engines. To 6th-generation aircraft to fill the vacancy of the JBM? From a comprehensive point of view, the Changfei version and Shenfei version of the 6th-generation aircraft size are relatively large. The design positioning cannot simply be said to be the J-bomber, but the ground and sea attack is undoubtedly its main combat positioning. In this way, the future of the Chinese Air Force and the JB-7, Su-30MKK retired. There is still a very strong JB and Boom-6 series of bombers to form a long-range strike fleet. At present, although the Chinese Air Force has a strong lineup of main aircraft types, second only to the U.S. Air Force, in comparison, the Chinese Air Force obviously has a large gap with it in terms of strategic bombers and J-bombers. Specifically, the Boom-6 series equipped by the Chinese Air Force was originally only a medium-range bomber in the Soviet Air Force, and Chinese researchers have made many improvements to the Boom-6 and before it reaches the level of the most basic strategic bomber. But there is basically not much potential for modification of the Boom-6 series in terms of speed and stealth. Furthermore, the Chinese Air Force is facing the retirement of J-7 and Su-30MKK. Although the newly commissioned J-16 can replace them, the J-16 itself is also a non-stealth aircraft and is unable to work with J-20 and J-35. So the Chinese Air Force must make up for this shortcoming. And before the Boom-20 comes into service, the development of the 6th-generation aircraft with the ability to be the ultimate fighter bomber appears to be of great strategic value.